first impression we get of Rigby is that he's immature, stubborn, irresponsible, childish, selfish, irritable, jealous, cowardly, resentful, patient, arrogant. Okay, but we can't say the same about the later seasons. So let me present to you the evolution of Rigby. I remember watching the first episodes of regular show as a kid and thinking that in his friendship with the Big Blue Jay, Rigby was basically the bad influence, since he constantly gets Mordecai into trouble and barely cares if it affects him or not. And yeah, in those early episodes, it's obvious that Rigby really is like that. He uses power irresponsibly for his own convenience. He's immature when he refuses to tell the truth after denting his bedroom wall. He's resentful to the point of almost destroying the park just to beat Mordecai at arm wrestling. He's jealous because he hates his brother Don for having a car, a career, and being the favorite, even though Don treats him kindly. And he's so stubborn that his own body basically gives up on him from all the junk food. And that's pretty much his deal through the early seasons. They mainly showcase how irritable this character can get. But why is he like that? Did writers just not care much about him and lock him in as the cause of most of the show's disasters, which is how it starts out? Or is there something deeper going on? Honestly, I think at first they may have figured the show wouldn't last long, and later when they realized how much potential Rigby had, they decided to actually develop him. But let's get to it. In season 2, we see Eileen, nervous but brave, ask Rigby out. The raccoon turns her down. Still, I refuse to believe he says no because he doesn't like Eileen. It reads more like insecurity and a need to act like he doesn't care about that stuff. He's scared to show his feelings because if he did, his best friend would be the first to clown on him. He ends up going on a date because Mordecai asks him to, so Mordecai can go out with Margaret.
It would be a group thing. You, me, Mordecai, and Margaret.
And Raccoon being Raccoon because he's kind of a freeloader, he milks Mordecai's favor so hard that when Mordecai finally says no, everything starts to fall apart. After cheating at arm wrestling the trick skips, his best friend dunks on him for not finishing high school, which drives Rigby to try to graduate, only to give up at the first sign of trouble. Later, they make a bet where Mordecai has to dye his hair blonde. Rigby wins by cheating. Shocker. At a Chinese restaurant, he swaps Benson's good luck for Rigby's bad luck. And in Video Game Wizard, Rigby basically makes Mordecai's life miserable because Mordecai doesn't pick him as his partner for a gaming tournament.
Why do friends not pick their friends to enter a video game competition with them?
In Muscle Mentor, since Rigby never finishes his work and thinks there'll be no consequences, Muscle Man is put in charge of training him to actually do his job. All of this just shows how immature he can be. Cheating at everything, lying, skipping work, throwing tantrums, always acting for his own convenience and with a ton of arrogance. And the worst part is, he still doesn't change. He remains the same selfish raccoon he's always been, even though friends and circumstances keep trying to teach him lessons. Skips wrecks him when he finds out Rigby cheated at arm wrestling. His best friend nearly melts him with lava for the same reason, cheating. And Muscle Man has to give him a crash course on, doing his job. It isn't until a warlock takes over the park that he decides to give Benson's luck back. Even then, we don't really see character growth, or at least not enough to say he's improved, because at this stage he simply doesn't care to get better. Where we actually see growth is when Eileen enters the picture. It's because of her that he starts noticing a lot of his mistakes, but we'll get there. Later on, without planning it, he ends up on a camping trip with Margaret and Eileen, and at first, he's skeptical. He wanted a guys only night, but he's impressed by the stuff Eileen can do, like lighting a campfire without matches, her astronomy knowledge, and the fact that he can also hang out with her playing video games. He ends up having a great time with Eileen, and he realized he judged her too fast as boring, when she's actually the opposite.
And you totally busted Margaret's window open with a rock!
After Mordecai saves them from the death bear, we can assume Rigby and Eileen are already good friends by that point. So when the raccoon has to train to do a pull-up so he can keep his job, Eileen is the one who encourages and supports him to make it happen. This is the first real step toward Rigby becoming a better version of himself.
I'd hug you, but I should probably wait till these muscles go away. I don't want to break your spine.
I'll take my chances. Totally worth it.
Later, even though he's still lazy, like when he needs to clean his room but instead buys a wall to split the room with Mordecai, we see one of the first real advances in his character. Back in season 1 episode Dawn, Rigby couldn't even stand to look at his brother because he felt he'd always lived in Dawn's shadow. He overcomes that resentment once Don admits that actually he'd admired Rigby since they were kids for being exactly who he is. So by season 5, Rigby has no problem asking Don for help to make a shot with a ball, because if he fails, their friends won't get back to the Wing Kingdom, and thanks to his brother, Rigby regains the confidence to pull it off. Then the guys get invited to their high school reunion. Rigby feels awful because back then he bragged that his life was going to be awesome, better than everyone else's since while they wasted time in college, he had a list of epic things to do. Obviously, he hasn't done them. He seems to treat life like a competition, and showing up without checking even one thing off that list would make him look lame. So he rushes to skydive while eating a burrito. He actually does it, then learns it was Pops' high school reunion all along. After that, Rigby keeps covering Mordecai at work, basically doing both their jobs so Mordecai can go out with his little cloud, aka CJ. When Rigby says he can handle the job alone without Mordecai, the others mock him. They don't buy it. And instead of backing him up by saying Rigby has been doing his job solo all this time, Mordecai just lists his past mistakes and says it's the least that he can do. Since everyone believes he couldn't last at that job or any job, Rigby goes to prove them wrong. Without a degree, a diploma, or even a driver's license, man, now that I think about it, that sounds a lot like me. The only gig he lands is hauling boxes for a moving company. He gets his paycheck and proves that he can hold his own. And Mordecai apologizes for not valuing everything Rigby has done for him. To keep building Rigby and Eileen's relationship, when Eileen wins a flat screen TV, Rigby offers to take it to her place, install it, and order pizza as a surprise. That matters because it shows how he wants to help Eileen, because he genuinely wants to, not because he's getting something out of it. Early seasons, Rigby would never have volunteered. He's changing because of Eileen. It also implies they've spent a lot of time together, evident in Merry Christmas Mordecai and I See Turtles, where we see how their relationship keeps strengthening and moving forward. And in Dumped at the Altar, Rigby finally swallows his pride and admits he's dating Eileen.
Spill it! Eileen and I are dating!
He even confesses that if it were up to him, he would have rubbed his happiness in his best friend's face, but Eileen told him not to. Once again, Eileen is the key factor in Rigby's improvement, helping him become more mature and emotionally intelligent. The immature, irritable, selfish Rigby we met at the start isn't that guy anymore, or at least not entirely. And that's the best thing about him. His development is evolutionary. Little by little, step by step, he gets reasons to think and act more maturely, effectively, emotionally, in a way that feels organic and gradual, not forced. In season 7, he helps Mordecai climb out of the dumps, becoming more and more of a solid advisor for him. Mordecai is in a crisis, and Rigby is always there to help. He helped through all of the Margaret mess and now with CJ. In Eileen Plan, we learned that back in 6th grade, Eileen wrote a manifesto of things she wanted to do before turning 16. One of which was marry someone super smart, which makes Rigby feel like he isn't the boyfriend she dreamed of. This episode is a before and after for Rigby. Compare it to season 1. When he walked into high school back then, his only goal was to throw his diploma in Mordecai's face.
I'm gonna get my diploma, and then we'll see how you like being the dumb one!
Now, he's doing it for Eileen. Once again, his girlfriend pushes him to be better. But Rigby wants to do it without Eileen finding out, because she doesn't know that he never finished high school. To graduate, he has to pass 3 classes he's missing: gym, foreign language, and geology. In geology, we see him really studying and trying to pass, but things get complicated when Eileen starts to suspect something. He keeps canceling the plans, and when Rigby lies that he's sick when he's actually on a field trip, Eileen goes to his place with Soup to take care of him. Ah, that's sweet. But she realizes he lied, because Mordecai is a terrible liar. And when she finds him in a cave with some teenage girls, they end up stuck in a pit. Rigby has no choice but to confess, and Eileen tells him what we all knew. She likes him exactly as he is. Trapped in the cave, Rigby applies what he learned in class and gets him out safely. Even so, and despite Eileen saying she likes him as he is, he decides to keep going to high school. That's huge because it proves that while his girlfriend motivates him, he's really doing it for himself. He still hits obstacles like getting bullied at school, but he keeps going. Then Benson heads to China to teach Spanish, and Rigby seizes the chance and literally sneaks into his luggage to take the class. It's not easy for Benson. Rigby distracts the students, and Benson has to make sure they really learn Spanish, or he can't go back home. Stressed out, Benson goes to a restaurant where he runs into Rigby. Here we see the classic Rigby, carefree and not at all concerned with Benson's problems, even though he's causing them. Benson lays down some hard truths, because they're true, and it makes Rigby reflect and realize that if he wants something, he has to work for it. At the students' final presentation, it turns out Rigby taught them a Spanish rap, and they all pass, which basically helps Rigby pass foreign language and also saves Benson's bacon. In gym class, the teacher turns out to be the guy who bullied Rigby in high school. That makes passing the class way harder. If the teacher didn't like him before, now that Rigby calls him out for bullying, he likes him even less. They agree that if Rigby wins a food run race, he passes. A food run is a down and back car race where whoever returns to the school first with a plate of food wins. With the help of his friends and Mordecai, Rigby trains for it. In the end, his brother is the one who lends him a car to race. Rigby wins, but not before wrecking Don's car, which makes the teacher break down crying. And unlike the old Rigby, instead of mocking him for losing, Rigby gives him advice and some heartfelt encouragement.
Come on, man. High school was a long time ago. You gotta get past the glory days and move on with your life. Focus on the now.
Yes, Rigby gives advice to the guy who made his teen years miserable, telling him that all of this is in the past and he needs to focus on the present. And by this point of the show, Rigby gets that better than anyone. Tell me that's not maturity. I know plenty of people well past 30 who wouldn't do that. It shows how far he's come. We're getting very close to his best version. Before that, trying to surprise his girlfriend, he plans an entire special day for her. Then he invites Eileen to prom. Since he can't take her on the bus, his classmates would bully him. He needs a car. He asks his friends, but no dice. His brother's car is in pieces, so he's got one option left: his dad. Just when you think Rigby can't get any better, the show gives him the backstory we needed to understand a lot of his behavior. His relationship with his parents, especially his father, is extremely toxic. You can tell his dad doesn't trust or respect him. Don convinces Rigby to ask for the car anyway, and when he does, well...
Oh, there it is! Now it comes out! See, Barbara? Of course he needs something! No!
Even so, his mom, more understanding, secretly gives him the keys. And when things seem okay, Dad realizes the car isn't in the garage, storms the prom, and throws a fit over his precious vehicle. Father and son blow up at each other, with Dad berating him and calling him a thief for stealing the car. This guy, who doesn't know how to be a decent father. How did you expect your son to turn out when you kept calling him a loser and a failure? You spend his whole life drilling his mistakes into him and comparing him to his better brother. No wonder Rigby grew to resent Don, telling him he's just a nuisance and always will be to everyone around him. When they veer off the road because Dad is more focused on yelling than driving, Rigby begs him to hand over the wheel. Rigby handles situations like this all the time. Dad refuses and blames Rigby for everything, so Rigby snaps and tells him exactly what he thinks.
It doesn't matter if I ever get a big job or my GED. You're still never gonna trust me, and that's on you. You're so focused on your car, you never noticed me growing up.
It's not Rigby's fault his dad never trusts him, because no matter what he did, it was never going to be enough. Dad was so fixated on other things that he didn't notice his son had grown up. With his girlfriend's support, the raccoon takes the wheel, clearly symbolizing that with Eileen's help, he's taking control of his life. After Rigby saves all three of them, his father finally reflects and apologizes for everything he did. When graduation comes and everyone at the park is trying to organize a celebration, Mordecai is sour about all the attention Rigby is getting. Not because he's jealous exactly, but because for the first time, Rigby is doing better than he is.
Is all this really necessary? I mean, graduating from high school is like the least a person can accomplish. But it's a big deal for Rigby. I can't believe I have to explain this to him.
He's your best friend, dude.
Meanwhile, Rigby has to prepare a great graduation speech. A TV program is even going to broadcast it, because someone his age deciding to finish school and move forward is admirable, any way you look at it. At this point, the raccoon needs his best friend's help. Everyone else is busy. And when the only thing the character still needs to fully redeem himself is that friend's support, his best friend bails.
What? I've been doing stuff for myself all spring. I haven't needed your help all spring. Now the one time I do and you're not doing anything for me at all.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not doing anything for you.
Man, I was furious when I watched that. Mordecai leaves him hanging when Rigby needs him most, after Rigby helped him through his worst crisis. What a jerk. Mordecai is the living embodiment of I want to see you win, just not more than me. At the ceremony, Rigby is so nervous nothing comes out right. Even so, Mordecai shows up to give him the encouragement he desperately needed and to confess how he's been feeling. Rigby, now the better person we know he's become, forgives him and delivers the final speech.
I've come a long, long way, and in the end, I still get to be me, but better.
Man, it's beautiful. I rewatched the show and cried at that episode. Back to the question from the start of the video. Early on, Rigby shows signs of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. ADHD is a chronic condition that affects millions of children and often continues into adulthood, involving ongoing problems such as difficulty sustaining attention, hyperactivity, and impulsive behavior. If it isn't addressed early, it can lead to behavior disorders or complications like academic failure or dropping out. And in the workplace, a higher risk of being fired, plus general difficulty adapting to the environment. I'm not qualified to diagnose anything, I'm not a psychologist, but in my opinion, ADHD would explain a lot of Rigby's behavior: poor impulse control, authority issues, low academic performance, acting without thinking through consequences, struggling to finish even small tasks, getting distracted easily, constantly forgetting things, and being messy. I'd also add other contributing factors like his friendship with the Blue Jay. Mordecai constantly mocks him and even gets physical with the person who's supposed to be his best friend, taking advantage of being taller and stronger to get what he wants. He makes fun of Rigby's appearance, downplays his problems, and invalidates his behavior. Neither Mordecai nor the rest of the park staff respect him or believe in his abilities. All of that feeds into why Rigby is the way he is. Like I said at the start to Mordecai and the others, Rigby was just an immature, lazy, stubborn, irresponsible, childish raccoon who didn't want to work. But that ignores the reality of what Rigby really needed to address his flaws was therapy. So it's no surprise Eileen became his main pillar of support. She was the first to believe in him and respect him for who he is. Exactly what he needed. She didn't criticize, judge, or blame him for problems. She helped him recognize his mistakes and see that he could change. She helped him recognize his mistakes and see that he could change. And ADHD is a condition without a simple cure, especially if untreated. Since Mordecai and Rigby don't have higher education, and as working class folks whose only option is to sell their labor to get by, they don't exactly have time, money, or headspace to identify or work through all that. Which is why, once again, when Eileen steps in, Rigby starts to mature. To close out that idea, I don't want this video to judge the character and say he used to be bad and now he's good, because that's not it. Rigby wasn't evil or abusive from the start. He simply didn't measure the consequences of his actions, likely because of ADHD. In my view, it's wonderful how the show did everything possible to let this character evolve in the best way, Eileen being the turning point. And no, it's not that you need a partner to grow, it's about wanting to move forward. You will need help sometimes. In Rigby's case, it was his girlfriend and his friends. Think about the people around you who make you feel valued, respected, and loved. Parents, uncles, aunts, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, neighbors. As Rigby himself says at one point, I stopped doing it for Eileen and started doing it for me. He admits the key to growth isn't having a girlfriend or boyfriend. It's adopting a reflective mindset so you can find your best self and show it to the world. And that's the best thing about this series. Even though every day is just ordinary park chores that spiral into a fight that wrecks the park or unleashes some interdimensional entity threatening the universe, it still tackles complex real-life topics you can actually apply. Toxic relationships, addiction, self-esteem issues, alcoholism, depression, anger, stress, and more. Without us realizing it, Rigby leaves us with a lot of lessons. He's someone who grew even when no one believed in him, even when he couldn't afford therapy, even when he's introduced as the worst. And the best part is he doesn't hold grudges against those who didn't help him. He lets go because he knows that clinging to resentment would only hurt himself.